you.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. White.
Any other questions for our school board representative before we move to our next guest? All right, thank you. Sven, who is next on the agenda? I don't have it up.
Yeah, so we were going to get some greetings from Ms. Colette McKeechin as well, but I do not see her in the chat as of right now. So we'll move on to our first presenters. And that is going to be Ms. Cheryl Hampton, our Director of Housing Community Development, and Mr. Jay Brown with Commonwealth Catholic Charities to present on the inclement weather shelter plan.
Great. And for those who have not been following this, the city has been looking to find a provider to provide the services for inclement weather shelter. And the temporary location is going to be at the Quality Inn on Hermitage. And very much appreciate Ms. Hampton and Mr. Brown came out and spoke with Sherwood Park. It's also been in communication with those neighborhoods, hearing their concerns from the last time that the Quality Inn was stood up for temporary emergency shelter with a different provider. And I've heard good things about how that conversation has been going. So that's the temporary shelter while Catholic Commonwealth Charities stands up a permanent one that'll be year round at a different location. So thank you both for being here. Look forward to hearing your comments and any questions from our constituents. Thank you. Oh, you're muted.
I apologize. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Jordan. And Sven, always thank you for your resources. You can't see in the background, but I'm here with my deputy, Miss Michelle Peters. She is here with us this evening. Good evening. And I appreciate her being involved. Mr. Dan Maurer in my office also worked on this project, and Dan is not here. But we're just so pleased to be with you all at this time. And we're very thankful that Commonwealth Catholic Charities, I'm so used to calling your agency, Mr. Brown, CCCC. So I want to get that all out. Commonwealth Catholic Charities is the partner provider who will provide the services. As you heard Councilwoman Jordan say, the city council wanted to continue and enhance the offering of an inclement weather shelter, emergency shelter. And I'm excited to say that City Council approved it on October the 11th. I believe that is the date. And we wanted to share with all of you so you will have a better understanding and will know what is going on. We looked at several options around the city, and this was the most effective, cost-effective, and time-wise effective option. So that is why we went with this most cost-effective and provided a more coordinated approach. So what is that approach? It's a two-prong approach. Two-prong meaning, as you've heard Councilmember Jordan say, that we will have a temporary shelter at the Quality Inn on Arthur Ashe Boulevard. And that's only temporary. The main site will be at Oliver Hill Way, which is the main work site for Commonwealth Catholic Charities here in Richmond. The project will at the shelter at Quality Inn, the shelter will provide, we will be utilizing the large ballroom. Folks will be sleeping on cots. They will be socially distanced. They will have the ability to have services, case management, be connected to services, trying to work with them. We can't force that on anybody, but the information will be there. Mr. Brown will be utilizing his street outreach team. The shelter will operate from in the afternoon, 6 or 7 o'clock till in the morning. Shower facilities will be available as well on site. He is trying to work out some ease of transportation, but he continues to facilitate that, and you'll hear more about the workings of that. I'm very pleased because this, when it moves to its permanent site or the main site over on Oliver Hill Way, it will be 24/7. Richmond has not had that in my estimation, and if I'm incorrect, Mr. Brown, just let me know. But I think this is one of the first times that we will have emergency shelter, inclement weather shelter on a 24/7 basis. We worked with the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care, which is the organization charged with oversight of homeless services within the region. We continue to work with them. We use the findings and the recommendations from their seasonal task force to make sure that we incorporate best practices in operating it efficiently. No one will be sleeping on the floor. They will have access to showers, case management services, mental health services, substance use services, disorder services. If they care to partake of that, there will be security on site. So that is what my department works with the various nonprofit providers. And again, we're very pleased that Commonwealth Catholic Charity agreed to partner with us in this effort. So I'll stop now, and I will ask Mr. Brown to share a little bit more about his organization and how they will be operating this shelter, both at the temporary site and at the main site once renovations has been completed. So Mr. Brown.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hampton. I really appreciate the partnership. And of course, thank you, Councilmember Jordan and Sven, for welcoming us here tonight and giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we're up to. For those of you who don't know Commonwealth Catholic Charities, we're almost a 100-year-old nonprofit social service agency that's headquartered here in Richmond, Virginia. We are historically primarily a child welfare organization, but have extensive experience in providing services to people experiencing homelessness, both here in Richmond, down to Petersburg, and in Eastern Virginia as well. As Ms. Hampton mentioned, we're just extremely pleased to be able to continue our partnership with the City of Richmond to provide really a last effort response to individuals who are experiencing homelessness, especially as they face the cold temperatures of the winter months and the extreme heat during the summer months as well. Just for a little background, on a night-to-night basis, historically, there's been anywhere between 100 and 200 people in and around the city of Richmond who are experiencing homelessness and do not have the ability to enter one of the year-round shelters simply due to capacity. So over the years, the city has endeavored to provide a public health response really designed to get people inside out of the cold, and we were proud to partner with the city on that project for a number of years. As Ms. Hampton mentioned, with the leadership of City Council and with the assistance of our partners in the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care, we have endeavored this year and in the future to really ramp up that effort to make sure that we are providing a more robust intervention that really helps people transition, hopefully, to permanent housing in the near term. What we're endeavoring to do, as Ms. Hampton mentioned, is open an overnight shelter at the Quality Inn on Arthur Ashe Boulevard using some of their congregate space, their larger spaces. We'll be able to provide people the opportunity to sleep on a cot, get them up off the floor where we used to provide mats. We will be providing meals, an evening meal, a morning meal, to make sure that people have the ability to receive the sustenance that they need. And during the daytime, we'll be partnering with all the organizations within the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care, and certainly our partners in other industries as well, from substance use service providers to mental health case management providers, to really make sure that people have access to the resources that are necessary, not just to sustain while they're staying temporarily in shelter, but hopefully to move through the system of resources that are available to individuals experiencing homelessness, ultimately to obtain permanent housing. So again, the facility that we'll be utilizing is the Quality Inn there on Arthur Ashe Boulevard. We believe we have had some strong conversations with the operator there. We've been able to bring some concerns that the surrounding neighborhood has had for his operation, and he's responded very positively. We're very pleased to be able to partner with the Richmond Police Department, who will be providing off-duty officers for security guards during the evenings. And I think one of the best parts of this, even though it's not the perfect long-term solution that we'll have once we move over to Oliver Hill Way, but we will be operating every night beginning on November 1st, God willing. We'll be up and running, and then we'll run the shelter until we're able to move it over to Oliver Hill Way. Previously we were operating on a temperature activated basis. And so we've taken that piece out of the equation, and we're operating every night just to make sure that people know that there's a place for them to go in the event that they're in a housing crisis. We will be working with the coordinated entry system of the Greater Richmond Continuum of Care. That's really the effort to make sure that people have access to additional resources beyond the overnight shelter. But we will ensure that nobody is left out in the cold simply because they didn't receive a referral from that coordinated entry process. So I think we've been making great strides in making sure that we have a compassionate response at the time that someone presents, as well as a robust coordinated response within the COC to make sure that people are moving to permanent housing. So with that, I will stop. And if there are any questions, we're very happy to answer them. And again, I just can't thank Councilmember Jordan enough, as well as Ms. Hampton and the city for their partnership.
Yeah, thank you for being here tonight. And we get a lot of constituent outreach about our unhoused neighbors. So this is something that people care about. In the second, I see someone has raised their hand for a question.
Yeah, Ms.
Mariah.
White, I believe you've raised your hand.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Brown, you were naming all your services. Will you be having any veteran resources services available?
Yes, absolutely. So we partner very closely with there's a group of veteran serving organizations called VetLink. And so the partners of VetLink are at our location every day to make sure that the people that are receiving services through Commonwealth Catholic Charities have access to those veteran resources insofar as they're available and it's a veteran who's presenting. So absolutely, we know that there are some additional resources for people who have served in the armed forces. And so whenever possible, we try to make those connections as quickly as possible, because oftentimes we can move someone into permanent housing if they present. So yes, we have a strong partnership. There's a coordinated group called VetLink, and we're a part of that to make sure that our veteran neighbors are accessing those resources.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for the question, Ms. White. If anybody else has a question, feel free to drop it in the chat or raise your hand.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming. Maybe if you don't mind hanging out for another 5 minutes, if people have a question for you in the chat directly. Otherwise, let's move on to Commonwealth Attorney Colette McEachin. I see that you have joined us. If you would like to give us any updates, we appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much. Hello, 2nd District. I'm glad to see you all again. My update is to let you all know that I've been involved in a lot of conversations regarding the horrendous gun violence that is occurring in all parts of the city, and that all law enforcement leaders and those involved on a daily basis, from patrol officers to sheriff's deputies to Councilwoman Jordan and the concerns that she hears from her constituents, to those of you who may have been affected by gun violence. We are all very aware and we're all working very hard. And here's the thing, here's the point I want to bring across tonight, which is that I don't want anyone to think that no one cares or no one is aware or that there are not lots of services being provided and lots of services that already exist to every demographic who you think would be most impacted by gun violence. So this year, unlike in the past, And I was a baby Commonwealth's attorney in the early 90s when we were going through the crack epidemic. So I remember what 162 homicides in 1 year in Richmond looks like. And thankfully, by the grace of God, we are not there, but we are also not at 35 homicides, which is where we were a few years ago. What has changed? What's different? I think everybody would agree that the pandemic is having some impact on the number of homicides and shootings. How much? No one can say. Is it the fact that people have lost jobs, lost hope, are totally stressed out? Is it a domestic violence situation where because people can't get away from their abuser, the abuse elevates and becomes a shooting or a homicide? There is no one cause, and therefore there is no one solution. So for those of you who sincerely ask, what can I do to help? I don't know where to go or how to help. I wanted to bring you 3 different organizations that exist and that are focusing their work on juveniles. I want to clarify that juveniles are not usually the victims of homicides in Richmond, and juveniles are not usually the offenders of homicides. But obviously, when a juvenile is on either side of that equation, it is even more impactful and even more horrific. So that is why I am focusing a lot of the work in our office on juveniles and juvenile trauma and family services. So the 3 organizations that I would bring to your attention, and I will email the contact information to Sven either afterwards, if I have a chance, before another meeting, or tomorrow. The first you may have heard of already, called Communities in Schools. Communities in Schools. They are in, right now I believe they're in 35 different schools throughout the city. And they essentially work as one-on-one mentors with kids in school, in the sense of it's not just going there during lunch and reading a book and then that's it. They are in there frequently enough to know what the child's home situation is, to know that the last shooting on Accommodation Street or on Grace Street affected that child's community and affected that child, to know that that child needs clothing, food, books, counseling. So communities in schools. The second is RDHA, which is the Richmond Behavioral Health Authority, which provides mental health services both on a crisis basis and on an ongoing basis. And so I would recommend them to you also. The next group is called Child Savers. And then actually there are 4. And then the fourth one is called SCAN, Stop Child Abuse Now. And even though SCAN is going to be changing its name, I'm told, so that people have a better idea of all the things they do, I will give you one, for instance, which is that when children witness crime, when they are at the scene of the homicide, at the scene of the shooting, SCAN, through its Child Advocacy Center, provides therapeutic and forensic interviews and counseling for the children so that they can come through on the other side of that. And so SCAN, Child Savers, and Communities in School are all really good, active, responsible community organizations which would love to get as many volunteers as possible. So please look forward to the information you'll be getting from Sven about that. And if you have any questions about anything specific regarding the 2nd District or any questions you want to ask me generally, I am open to take them. Oh, last plug. Please remember to vote November 2nd. Please remember to vote. You can vote on weekends now. So voting is open 7 days a week in Richmond, which we should be very proud of. And I hope that you will consider voting for me as your Commonwealth's attorney. I will accept any questions and thank you all so much for your support and for listening.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have a question for our Commonwealth attorney while she's here with us?
And I'll just share briefly. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go right ahead.
I was just going to say briefly that Ms. McEachin has been wonderful about communicating with our office, and we're going to be including her contact for her office in our newsletters going forward. So you can also reach out there.
And I think my only question was, I know communities in schools, you talked about Child Saves, you talked about SCAN, so that's 3. What was the 4th one? I may have missed that, Attorney McEachin.
Sure. So Child Savers, SAVERS, and then SCAN, and then Richmond Behavioral Health Authority.
Oh, RBA. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Excellent. And then if anyone has a question for our Commonwealth attorney that they don't feel comfortable asking in this venue, you can ask through our office, or you have a concern, feel free to bring it to us, or directly to her office. So thank you for being with us here tonight. I don't see any hands raised. I know we have several other guests, but
All right.
appreciate you and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
All right. Leonard Sledge, are you online with us? I see your name. We have our Director of Economic Development, who's going to give us an update on the Diamond District. Thank you for being here tonight. I know you've been on the tour describing this project for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Councilmember Jordan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Sledge, and it's my privilege to serve as the Director of Economic Development for the City of Richmond. I have a presentation that I'd like to share just to stay consistent with information that we've shared this week at City Council's Land Use, Housing and Transportation Committee, and also what we'll be sharing tomorrow during the Finance and Economic Development Committee. And I'm glad, as time allows, to answer any questions that the citizens in the 2nd District have. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
So the redevelopment of the Diamond, we like to think of it in the city of Richmond is one of the most highly anticipated redevelopment opportunities, not only in the city or Central Virginia or the Commonwealth of Virginia or the Mid-Atlantic, but along the entire East Coast. We have, let's see, there we go. And so just like to talk with you all a little bit tonight to share about the process that we'll be undertaking soon, the draft request for interest, the goals and our evaluation criteria. And also, if you have not seen or heard, we have launched a new webpage and a new website that are purely devoted to the redevelopment of the Diamond District, www.rva.diamond.com is primarily an outward focus website, although any citizen can access it as well, where we are using to market the opportunity to potential developers, and also to keep the community at large informed about the process, as well as any and everyone else under the sun. And then on the city's economic development website, again, we also have a page dedicated to the redevelopment of the Diamond, again, just to make sure that citizens have any and all information that we've made available about the redevelopment project. And so the site, as we know, is approximately 66 contiguous acres along North Arthur Ashe Boulevard, affectionately known as the Diamond. I would like to point out that in the middle of this is approximately 6 acres that's owned by VCU, Virginia Commonwealth University. That 6 acres is the Sportsbacker Stadium. But we're collaborating with VCU again, just to see a comprehensive redevelopment take place on this site. Over the past years prior to my tenure with the city of Richmond, I've come to understand and appreciate the fact that this site has been moved forward for redevelopment, a number of different concepts. And also we have been doing our due diligence to get this site ready for redevelopment in terms of moving city functions, demolishing buildings, remediating the site. The only thing that's left there now, again, Sportsbacker Stadium, the Diamond, and the Arthur Ashe Center. But I think this image gives a great idea or a great sense of location, of its location in proximity to downtown Northside, Virginia Union University, VCU, the River, the Fan, Scotts Addition, and also other places in the city. In terms of the process and milestones, this RFI and then subsequent RFO process is really rooted in the Greater Scotts Addition Small Area Plan, in concert with the development of Richmond 300. There was a significant amount of community input, community engagement, stakeholder input, so that we can craft as a city the vision for what we'd like to see develop in this area. And so the model that we're moving forward with in terms of the city's vision is again rooted and grounded in the Greater Scotts Addition Small Area Plan. That was adopted by City Council in December of 2020. In July 2021, a little earlier this year, this summer, again, we saw the Greater Scotts Addition rezoning that was adopted by City Council as well. And so that leads us to last week, the week before that, where we launched the website www.rvadiamond.com and the webpage on the economic development website, where we are again marketing, soliciting interest for what will be a request for interest that's released. Again, we believe very strongly that this is the absolute best redevelopment opportunity along the East Coast of the United States. And so we want to make sure that we get the word out as broad and as far as we can to solicit great development proposals for the city of Richmond to consider. And so we have consistently said for a number of months now that RFI, the request for interest, will be issued by the end of this calendar year, and it will be. And the winter of 2022, an evaluation panel will be reviewing responses to the RFI, and from there we will shortlist. We will create a short list of developers who we will ask to submit offers. We'll issue a request for offers for those individuals to respond to, again, with more granular detail about their proposal and things of that nature. In the spring, we anticipate selecting a preferred development team and then seeking City Council approval for purchase, sale, and development agreements in the spring and summertime of 2022. And so again, from a process standpoint, we're issuing the RFI by the end of this calendar year. And the intent of that is so that developers can speak to their qualifications and their overall vision for the project, how they see this development taking place, the look, touch, and feel of it. Again, 66 acres is a very large piece of real estate. And so just understanding what they will be proposing. And then from there, we will shortlist and invite individual development teams to respond to a request for offers, where they again will have the opportunity to provide more detail on their proposed project and an offer in terms of a purchase price for the city property. And then again, after that, the city will negotiate and identify the best project to move forward with in terms of presenting a proposal to City Council. In terms of the RFI draft goals, the development components, infrastructure is going to be critical. Right now, you have a couple of buildings there, the baseball stadium, the Arthur Ashe Center, and Sportsbacker Stadium. Aside from that, it's a lot of surface parking and also some brownfield redevelopment where former buildings were and things of that nature. The RFI will include a component it contemplates a replacement baseball stadium as outlined in Richmond 300 in the Greater Scotts Addition Small Area Plan, new commercial office development, and also very important mixed income residential. So also that's for sale and for lease. Again, just making sure that there's an affordable housing component that's a part of this project. A hotel, again, as a tourism amenity in this particular part of the city, ground level retail, shared parking, pedestrian walkways, bike lanes, transit, great public open space. Also understanding how they would phase this development over time, making sure that there's an emphasis on a great quality in terms of the design aesthetics and also a development that is sustainable. And a lot of what we will be looking for, it's been an iterative process that we've used with the ultimate purchase, sale, and development agreement of the public safety building and downtown, to the work that we did in terms of the host community agreement for the resort casino project. And so a significant amount of the same principles, needs, wants, and desires from a community benefit standpoint will absolutely be a part of this redevelopment project. And also in terms of the fiscal components, understanding how and evaluating how this project generates new revenue for the city of Richmond, and also utilizing financing approaches that minimize the public's investment and risk. Again, there's infrastructure that's going to be needed as a result of this project, and also in contemplating a new replacement baseball stadium, just understanding what type of public participation might be required or necessary for that to be a reality. And then ultimately figuring out what project makes the most sense for the city of Richmond. In terms of other goals for community, creating a new neighborhood with a unique brand and place identity, ensuring that not only is there MBE participation on the construction and operation of the project, but in the ownership of the project and beyond ownership of a residential unit, but equity ownership in the project itself. Great employment opportunities for Richmonders is always front of mind for us, creating a resilient, sustainable district, and also making sure that there's great connectivity to the surrounding neighborhoods. There will be an evaluation criteria that's shared, and for the development team, we're looking at their experience in developing large-scale, mixed-use entertainment destination types of projects, the scope of services provided, their financial capability. Again, this is a very large redevelopment site. And so the ultimate development team is going to have the financial wherewithal to see it come to pass. Looking for references, other projects that they've done historically, and also, again, very important for us to understand and to see the diversity of the development team and the ownership structure there as well. Also, the urban mixed use experience. Again, this particular site is directly across the street from one of the most outstanding neighborhoods in areas. Again, also along the East Coast. I had the opportunity to have lunch today at Pinky's in Scott's Addition. Absolute tremendous lunch. So shout out to the Pinky's team. But also folks who have experience specifically with sports and entertainment types of development. Capability to fulfill office, residential, and the retail components, the ballpark. Again, just a sound team that has experience with mixed-use urban redevelopment. We mentioned some of the equitable development benefits from affordable for sale and rental housing, MBE participation, new employment opportunities. This project being a catalyst for additional economic development in this area and throughout the city. Obviously, creating a tourism asset, the capital investment that would be made as a result of the project. Creating new open space, which I think is one of the most spectacular features of the Greater Scott's Addition Small Area Plan, local hiring, and again, a host of other things. And we also need to make sure that the development team understands who we are as a city in terms of our goals and what it is that we want to see happen as a result of redevelopment. Again, the public space needs, the financing approach, and the fiscal implications. Again, with the particular emphasis on cost avoidance for the city, minimizing the fiscal impact to the city in any and all instances where possible, but also understanding clearly the opportunity for new jobs to be created during the construction phase and during in the foreseeable future for this project. All geared towards us being able to more effectively address our priorities as a city. The redevelopment of the site itself, the 66 plus acres, so that we can create more affordable housing, create equitable economic development opportunities, create more great paying jobs, reduce poverty, provide more funding for schools, providing greater services for our citizens, and overall building a stronger economic base. And so in terms of next steps, by the end of 2021, again, we will be issuing a request for interest in RFI to solicit creative development responses from capable and experienced development teams interested in redeveloping the 66.7 acres of underdeveloped publicly owned property along the I-95 East Coast corridor into a mixed use, mixed income entertainment destination. And so again, a great opportunity for the city of Richmond, great opportunity in the 2nd District, great opportunity along the East Coast. And with that, I'm glad to answer any questions that time allows.
Great, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. We had a question about traffic. Traffic is an issue with this site. Will there be a traffic study? And more importantly, will there be a traffic impact study on the surrounding communities?
I can't speak to the surrounding communities, but for the site, in the last agreement that we did from a redevelopment standpoint, we understand very clearly that traffic is front of mind, as is parking. And so I anticipate that there will be a traffic impact analysis that's required at some point during the process. It may not likely be on the front end proposal side, but by the time we select an operator, again, if you look at some of the historic, at least the last project that we did require a traffic impact analysis to be done.
Thank you. Does anyone else? I see a hand raised.
Yeah, Ms. White?
Yes, Mr. Sledge, I have 2 questions. Is this the same project that was introduced as like for the Coliseum, except it has a ballpark included? Sound like the same whistles and bells. And my other question is, what is going to happen to the Arthur Ashe Center?
Yeah, so this is a very different project than what was proposed and what was contemplated in the downtown core. Again, this project is rooted in the Greater Scotts Addition small area plan. In terms of the Arthur Ashe, in terms of functions in the Arthur Ashe Center, ongoing conversations. We understand that we can't redevelop a site and have the, and not be able to replicate the uses or the same access that take place, the activities that take place in the Arthur Ashe Center. And so as we're evaluating proposals, that is also front of mind, just in terms of how we replicate the facility, how we replicate the access and things of that nature. And also what's not included in the city's RFI is while VCU owns 6 acres, 6 to 7 acres on the Diamond site, what's not included in our request for interest and ultimately request for offers, it won't have anything to do with the 40 acres, approximately 40 acres that VCU is redeveloping on the other side of Hermitage that will be their athletics village. VCU also has very front of mind access for citizens, access for sporting events and things of that nature, other types of activities that also happen and occur in the Arthur Ashe Center.
Thank you.
And then Leonard, we received a question in the chat from a resident of Sherwood Park who's asking, is there any sort of connectivity contemplated to the other side of 6495 to the north side neighborhoods there included within the RFI?
Yeah, and so I'm not going to get into the specifics of what will actually be in the RFI. Yeah, because we've just been very mindful about not getting into the specifics for the RFI. But again, we're leaving it up to the development. Once we issue the document, we're leaving it up to the development teams to bring their most creative ideas to the table. And then once we go through the evaluation process, the iterative process from the RFI to the RFO, we do still have the ability to negotiate different things that we want to see happen as a result of the redevelopment project as well.
Great, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Sledge, either in the chat or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you?
Well, thank you very much, Council Member Jordan, for allowing me the opportunity to come and talk about, the days and weeks and months ahead. Again, we are very excited about the redevelopment opportunity. Really excited about seeing this place redevelop in a way that speaks to the desires, goals, and interests of Richmond.
Agreed. Thank you for being here, and I know there'll be many more meetings and more options for people to participate in this. Our next guest is Nicole Armistead, who is our city treasurer. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And welcome to our second district residents, as well as the other leaders in the community. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here. I am going to attempt to share my screen. And all right, can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I won't be before you long tonight. Just wanted to give you some updates on the treasurer's office. I'm excited to share that since I've taken the role as your city treasurer, I have taken some steps to transform the treasurer's office into an office of financial empowerment. So going from there, we have found that there are Office of Financial Empowerments located throughout the country. The same model exists in cities such as St. Louis, Boston, San Francisco, where they work to provide resources to the community, financial literacy, financial education. So that's been a great development of ours. And we've also, in those efforts, partnered with the Office of Community Wealth Building to make sure that we're collaborating and being very effective in our outreach, as the Community Wealth Building has a very strong focus on workforce development, helping people to get employed. We are helping to fill the space of making sure people are educated on how to build their wealth. So we're collaborating in those efforts. So we're excited to share that. And we also have put together a group of volunteers, which is the Financial Awareness Coalition. That's the photo you see. And those are individuals that are volunteering, and they have various backgrounds from financial to legal, social service, all those different backgrounds. And we come together and discuss different ways that we can help address the poverty, the disparities in our community, and provide some solutions. So one thing that we were able to successfully do is that we provided the city's first ever citywide financial literacy fair. And at this fair, we actually had on-site counseling, we had financial wellness workshops, resources, vendors were available. Well, you can imagine that we did that initially in 2019. Then in April is actually Financial Literacy Month, and that's when we had it. And then as we know, the March of 2020 is when COVID impacted our lives tremendously. So we were not able to have it in 2020, but we did have it virtually this year in April. So we had different financial institutions come and share information. We had individuals that attended all virtually. So it was great to just continue to provide those resources to our community. So that's one of the other services that we provided. Oops, sorry. So one other thing that I want to share that we're very excited about is that we were also awarded a grant for us to assist our residents, and it's called the Financial Navigators. We were awarded that grant from the Cities of Financial Empowerment, and this is where we are providing a free outbound call center. So individuals that were definitely impacted by COVID financially, unable to find resources and know where to go for assistance, this is a central location that they can call, and they will provide them the information of resources that are available in the community. And what I love about it is that we affirm that of the resources that we provide them are actual existing resources. Rather than just giving them a list of organizations that do these things, we affirm that they are active and that they're still doing them. So I want to just give, if I could, a little deeper dive on this service, if I could just highlight it for a moment. We officially launched the Financial Navigators in January of this year, and we have partnered with Humankind nonprofit, so they are our service provider. And that was from our kickoff meeting. What makes the Financial Navigators unique is that our target is the city of Richmond, and these individuals are trained to focus on individuals that are dealing with challenges, just finding resources. And as I mentioned earlier, we just highlight the top agencies in the city. So we don't have every single agency that provides a food pantry in the city or every single one that provides utility assistance, but we have agencies that we know have resources available and are providing those services to the community. Now, if someone wants to have their resource added to our listing, then we definitely can consider it, and they very likely could be added, but we try to keep it to a reasonable number. And what I love about this resource is that we don't just give them a list of resources over the phone. We actually will email or text them the list of the resources. And we also do not have the calls timed to where there's a limit or we have to rush individuals off the phone. So we're able to give them the attention that they need to help them talk through their challenging situation, whatever it may be, so that they can get what they need to meet those needs. So a brief recap on how we've done so far. We're in our 10th month, but we have in this time received over 961 requests. We have hosted over 758 sessions. And if you can see the topics we've discussed, over 1,400, and we have given over 4,900 referrals. So we're really excited that we're being able to provide this resource to the community. And the topics that are common, it's still housing, food, and utilities, our basic needs. Our average call times are about 13 minutes. They used to be 10 minutes. I think they're just a little bit longer as we're navigating and helping people to navigate what their needs are. And I will share that when somebody calls, it's what's your story? What's your situation? So that they're able to really express what the needs are. And then the navigator helps them to identify what resources they need to help them in that situation. And as I mentioned, it's an outbound call center. So our average response time is within 1.8 days. So they may get a call back the very same day. That is very likely. But at the very latest, the longest that we take to get back to someone is 1.8 days. And this service is being offered throughout the country in 26 localities. So with this service, since we launched it, we've had referral partners from the organizations listed here. I'm not going to read them for you, but you can just see highlighted areas where we've received the top referral partners. And just to let you know, if you have someone that may have a need for this service, let me give you just a real brief review on how you can take advantage of it. There are two primary ways. You can go straight to the actual website where you log in and you enter your information so that your name is entered into the queue, and then a navigator will call you back. Or you can go to the Treasurer's website where we have a link directly to this as well, or Humankind. And then you can also call 646-MORE. And we made it a little tag to where we're making options and resources easy. So 646-MORE. They can call, leave a message, and a navigator can assist them. And on some instances, the navigator will actually answer the phone and be able to assist them at that moment. So filling out this form, it is so easy. It's like 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go through this briefly. They would go to the website. This is what the opening screen looks like. And they would just enter basic information, as you can see here. Their name, number, preferred number to be called back on. That's the required information. Email is optional. Zip code, consent. So once they have the consent, that's usually what takes the longest. If someone doesn't log in or click consent, they have to read the consent over the phone. But if they do it here, it is much faster. And then the next step, they hit submit. So it's not a very long form. It does not take a lot of time, and a navigator is able to assist them. And the ways that we've made this information available to our communities is that we had information on our GRTC buses, on the RVA Strong site for helping people responding to COVID, as well as we did a mailer in the utility bill with our Office of Financial Empowerment brochure, and we were also featured on Channel 6 News. And then I'll transition from here to show you briefly, if you didn't see it, our brochure, which came out earlier this year in your utility bill. It just lists the services that we're providing to the community, our mission, our effort, and we do have hard copies available. So if you have any individuals, whether it's your local groups or communities or your civic association or your church, we have more of these that we can provide you. And we also have some handheld Financial Navigator handout cards that we can also make available to you, which has the information on there, as well as a summary of what the service really provides. And so this can be given to you in electronic form or hard copy. And that's the inside of the actual brochure and different partners that we're working with throughout the community. So I'm reaching the end. And with that, pretty much a summary is that we're really excited about the Financial Navigators program we have. We're also working on providing some financial coach partnerships. We have several financial institutions that partner with us, for example, with our financial literacy fair. And as we work in partnership with community wealth building, helping to build that wealth gap. And then also in the treasurer's office, we're working on creating some more efficiencies here. We've automated our juror payment process, and we are looking to automate it even more to the possibility where jurors can get paid the same day and have that automated. So those are some things that we're researching. And I also will say that our office is certified with the Treasurers Association of Virginia. And I, your city treasurer, am also certified as a master governmental treasurer. So those are the things that we're doing here. Very excited to serve you. And I will just add that this being an election year, I do hope that you would choose to keep me in office so I can continue to serve you. So I do ask for your vote in November. And with that, any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much for stopping by. And I don't see any questions in the chat. If anyone has follow-up questions for Ms. Armstead, you're welcome to send them to us or, reach out to her directly, of course. But again, thank you for this robust program that you've developed. I remember when you were first running and you stopped by the Fan District Association meeting and mentioned all these ideas you had. So it really is amazing to see it here executed. So
Yes, it's so great when you have a vision and an idea and then it manifests. So thank you all for your support and giving me the opportunity to make this happen. I'm looking forward to doing more for our community. And thanks again for inviting me to be here to share. I appreciate it. Okay.
thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Armstead.
you.
I think we had a follow-up comment from Ms. Hampton about from her presentation that she just wanted to add in before we move on to our agenda. Ms. Hampton,
you.
are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Jordan. It was really a new resource, and to our treasurer, Ms. Armstead, it's a pleasure meeting you for the first time here. I shared 2 pieces of information with Swen so he could send to the group. It is about the Affordable Housing Partial Tax Exemption Program that we have implemented, that Council, Ms. Jordan, and your other colleagues approved, and Housing and Community Development have implemented that. So what does that mean? If you are low to moderate income, up to 80% of the area median income, and you have rehabilitated your home, or you own rental property that you have rehabilitated, you may be eligible for a partial tax exemption on the increase. So we are working with the assessor's office to make that determination. The partial tax exemption runs for 15 years. And we just love to get the word out about the program. I've shared the flow chart and the one-page fact sheet with everyone. If you need applications, you can contact our office. It will be up online next week by no later than Monday. And so I just wanted to share that. It's a partial tax exemption for low to moderate income folks or individuals that own rental properties who will rehabilitate them. And if it's rental, they agree to continue to rent, to make those rents affordable, no more than 30% of the tenant's income. Or if you are a property owner and you have rehabilitated your home and you are low to moderate income within the income limits, you may qualify as well for this partial tax exemption. And we say partial because anytime you renovate, it may add to the value of your home. And so it will be, you're exempted from paying taxes on that increase for over 15 years. So thank you so much. I just wanted to share that, Councilmember Jordan, and get the information out. And I sent a packet out to council as well. But since we were here at this district meeting, I thought it would be good to share the information with your constituents. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is something that we hear a lot about in the second and then just across the city. Folks, that have been maintaining their home that could really take advantage of this. So thank you. And we will absolutely help get the information out to everyone that could potentially qualify. So
Thank you again.
yes, thank you, Ms. Hampton, so much. And it looks like Sven has put that into the chat. So appreciate, there's some bugs on here, that information. All right. Did anyone have follow-up questions for Ms. Armstead or Ms. Hampton, who's still with us?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see any. Feel free to reach out to them directly or through our office. Thank you for being with us and for your hard work. All right. So the next part of our agenda, we have some council updates. And one that has been dominating our time is the ARPA spending plan from the mayor's office. So that's the $155 million that we have been asking for input from the community on for months now. It got introduced at our last full council meeting, and we're set to vote on it in a special meeting on the 25th. And Sven has put into the chat, you can read the full plan. There's a lot obviously in it. Looks like we're having a little issue with the Zoom, but feel free to, just one second while we.
Apologies, y'all. Is anybody sharing their screen by accident?
That's our good friend, Bill. Bill,
Thank you.
good to see, glad you're here, Bill. Anyway, so again, ARPA is winding down. We're already starting to enter our next budget cycle. Department heads are scheduling their meetings with administration to go through their plans. It is always the right time to let us know your priorities, what you see in the district that needs improving, so that we can advocate, in every conversation for those needs. Also, we are working on speeding. That's something that across the city is a huge problem. There was a memorial walk on Sunday for a young woman who was killed just walking in the South Side by a motorist who was speeding. And for us, we are looking at council at putting forward legislation so that residential speed limits will be lowered to 20 miles an hour. 20 is plenty is a nationwide campaign that I think a lot of people are familiar with. That's just in the beginning conversation stages, but we 100% are taking the speeding seriously. We're also looking at different cameras that the General Assembly has allowed us to start applying in limited capacity. So these would be things like speeding cameras in school districts or red light cameras. I feel like I can't go to a stoplight and not see someone run it. It's really concerning. So we're working on speeding issues, and there was a slowdown on Sims event South Side, which we're looking to do on Boulevard. So stay tuned for those details if you'd like to come out, hold a sign, encourage people to drive slowly. And then stormwater, businesses have been flooding, homeowners, that continues to be an issue across the city as we have these more intense and frequent rains. There is money in the ARPA budget for this, as well as money that the state has given for the city to address that through infrastructure projects. I've also pushed for help with funding a need-based for backflow preventers, so that if you're someone moderate income and your basement is flooding, this is something that the city should be able to use ARPA funds to help you install, as well as green infrastructure measures like rain gardens, biospheres, things like that to mitigate this larger problem. It's going to take a lot of strategies. Voting, one of our earlier guests mentioned that the registrar's office is open for voting, as well as other early voting locations, including City Hall. And if you know who you're voting for, go ahead and get out and vote. it'll take you off those lists of people texting, emailing, and mailing you. So if you don't like that, it's another reason to go vote early. It also helps the candidates that you want to support by allowing them to focus their energy on the hard to reach or undecided voters. So instead of chasing you, who's already going to vote for them, they can work on other people maybe who haven't made up their mind. At this point, I'll take a pause. Sven, is there anything you wanted to add? And then we could open it up for any questions.
On the voting front, remember to flip your ballot. We've got, state level elections. We've got local elections, including our city treasurer on the ballot, as well as our Commonwealth attorney. And we also have the casino referendum on the back of the ballot.
Absolutely.
And our city sheriff.
And our city sheriff,
Thank you,
yes.
Nicole. Yeah.
Yes. All right, does anyone have a question they want to put in the chat or ask directly? You can raise your hand. Sven will call on you.
And y'all, since we are well into the meeting and most of the Zoom bombers at this point hopefully got bored, I've allowed everybody to unmute themselves. So if you want to just go ahead and unmute yourself and chime in, feel free.
Okay, well, it's been great having everyone here. You can always reach out directly to our office. And, if you're not already signed up for the newsletter, that link is in the chat. As always, it's an honor to serve the 2nd District. And please continue to be COVID conscious and let us know how we can assist you. All right, good night. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks a lot, Catherine and Sven.
Thanks for
very
coming
much.
in.